You're not really the body. And many people will argue up and down that you are the body, but I don't think anyone actually believes this to be the case. For instance, it just feels so natural to say something like, my body. Well, if you are the body, then who is the one who is having a body? There's a prior sense of beingness before the recognition of the body. The body itself is just another part of the experience. You say, I am having an experience. Okay, well, if you're having an experience, then you are not the experience. And the body can be experienced. It's nothing but sensations. And so there's this prior beingness to that experience. In order to say that you are the body, it requires an arbitrary delineation between the body and the environment and other bodies. And now, of course, it's useful to navigate society and act as if you are an exclusive body. That has its utility. But what people often do is they mistake what's useful for what's true. And it's only a useful fiction to say that you are the body, or one exclusive body. It's not an absolute truth. And so one has to draw these arbitrary delineations between the body and everything else. The body only vaguely has a boundary to it. It's somewhere along the skin. We can say that here is the body, and as I move away from this, that's not the body. But this apparent boundary of bodiness, it's not really solid. We know this. We can look at images of cells, and a static image makes it look like the cell is bordered off, that it has a solid wall to it. But that's only the appearance of a static image. The cell itself actually is permeable with the space around it. It doesn't have a solid edge to it. And so it's one with the environment. The body itself is permeable. It's one with the environment, and it relies on the environment for its survival, to exist as a body. And so if one wanted to say that they are the body, they would have to include the surrounding environment. You can't exclude it and keep the body. It goes with it. And furthermore, to say that you're the surrounding environment, you'd have to go further and include the planet. Because again, there's no hard edge to the environment. There is no absolute beginning point to the ocean. And so it's a relative distinction. So you would have to include the planet and say, okay, I am the planet. But you can see where this is going. There's no hard boundary to be found anywhere. There's an appearance of distinctions, but these appearances are not indicators of real, truly solid boundaries. It only appears to be that way. And so you'd keep panning outwards and eventually get to the universe as a whole and say, okay, I am the universe. But what does that mean? What is this stuff, this apparent somethingness that's appearing that we call the universe? What is it? And when we peer into it, there isn't anything defined. We can make measurements of particles and all of that good stuff, sure. But there's not a stable, solid somethingness there to find. And so it's a pattern of excitations, of things that can be measured, but it's nothing appearing to pattern. And so the you that appears to exist doesn't absolutely exist as the appearance is. The appearance of the everything of the universe, it's ultimately insubstantial. there just isn't anything there to find, really. There's an appearance of something, but it's empty. So you are paradoxically empty of substantiality, and yet at the same time full of everything, of the appearance of everything that's arising. And so you're both empty and full. Except, let's not get satisfied there. Let's go a step further. There's a prior awareness of this emptiness and fullness. There's something ultimately unspeakable that's beyond that. It's not really beyond it, but evocatively speaking, we can say that it's not exclusively the emptiness and fullness. So there's this ungraspable ineffability, which is undeniably present. It's something like a beingness, or a suchness, or an isness. And you can't quite put your finger on what it is beyond that. The existential stuff that it's made out of doesn't exist. That would just be more appearance, more phenomena arising within the awareness of it. So it's totally unspeakable, unobjectifiable. And I can't quite see how this could be an arbitrary delineation. If we've already included the appearance of everything, there's no other to draw a boundary between it. There's no way to step outside of everything to point to it and objectify it as an other, as a knower of everything. So the you seems to be totally unknowable. The knower is unknowing. Unknowing can appear as a context of someone that knows something. And beyond that context of someone knowing something is the non-contextual, which is totally ineffable. It has no real intrinsic meaning to it. It has no real intrinsic purpose to it. It simply is. And everything is an appearance of that unspeakability. So everything simply is, and as well, it isn't, because it's ultimately empty. So this is what is and isn't.